Hello everyone and welcome to another Feed Army video. My name is Emmanuel and in this video we will teach you how to install Google Ads conversion tracking in Shopify using pixels, or in other words, customer events. This conversion code will include the enhanced conversions and also micro conversions. Now, micro conversions are basically things such as add to cart, begin checkout, payment details, etc. So those steps. And a micro conversion are the purchase events, or for example a lead if you are offering other methods of contact that you think is primary to your business for a conversion. But for e-commerce we will just stick with purchase. So purchase and other elements are included in this code now as of version 1.07. If you're watching this video and the code version on the website is, for example, 1.08, then simply follow the instructions on the website in combination with this video. Now, to begin with, we want to go to the website to view the code. You can find the link in the description of this video. Now, what we want to do is scroll a little bit down and we can start seeing the code here. As you can see, version 1.07. What we want to do is go all the way to the bottom till the end of the code, and that is here. Copy the code and go to Shopify. Within Shopify, we want to click on Settings and then click on Customer Events. And we want to add a custom pixel. And because this includes Google Tag Manager, we want to make sure that this is the main feature. So Google Tag Manager, and I will just say by Feed Army. This is because if you're adding more features to your Google Tag Manager, then you can use this installation to install Google Tag Manager on the whole of your website. So click on Add Pixels. Now we want to look at the permissions. If you're within the European Union and you need to make sure that consent is given to the code for marketing and analytics purposes, then you need to make sure these two are selected. If you're outside of the EU and you know that you don't need to legally have permission to show this code, then you can set it to not required. However, for the permissions, you need to check this yourself, what is legal and what is not legal. For the data sale, as we are not selling our data, is to set it to data collected does not qualify as data sale. Now let's scroll a little bit down and paste our code. Scroll all the way up to the top because we have some functions. The functions are basically the settings that you need to do to make this all work. What we want to do now is go to Google Tag Manager. If you don't have an account yet, create one. The link is in the description. And once you have set up your basics for the Tag Manager, then we want to basically copy the tag ID. In the top right corner, you can go and click on your tag, GTM tag, and here you can copy the account ID. So you don't need to copy GTM hyphen. We just close that, and now let's go back to Shopify and we paste it here. And now we want to copy our Google Merchant Center ID. You can do this by going to Google Merchant Center, and in the top right corner you can copy your code and then paste it here. What we want to check then is our product country code. In Shopify, if you're using the default ID, you will see something like Shopify_US_, then the product ID, and then underscore the variant ID. You can check this by going to your account and clicking on products. And here you can see the product ID. So you can see that the country code is US. In this case, what we want to do is go to the code and add US as the code. If that is different, then change that. Then we want to add our estimated shipping time. Simply add your estimated time here. For grant consent, this is basically the code that Shopify has included in the example of the code to update your cookie consent. Now I've set this to false because in most cases the cookie consent pop-up will update this value so that it's attributed with the correct parameters. Now, if you're not using a pop-up and you don't legally need to install a pop-up for cookie consent, then you can set this to true. But as default, it is set to false. If in case your Google Merchant Center ID is completely different, for example, you're only using the parent ID, or you're using the variant ID, or you're using the SKU, then you can change that here. So for the SKU, you will simply change it to SKU. If you're using a parent ID, then you need to change it to parent_ID. If you're using the variant ID, then we want to change this to variant_ID. And the examples are provided here, so you can read and check what is suitable for you. But if you're using the default Shopify IDs, then simply keep this to Shopify. In some cases, your SKU value might be capitalized. So in this case, what we want to do is set capitalized SKU to true. This is to ensure that all values are capitalized regardless of what you have in the SKU value. This to ensure that the value here matches the Google Merchant Center values. You can set this to false if there is no capitalization. And that is it for the settings here. What we want to do is then click on Save and then Connect. Click on Connect again so that you have agreed to the Shopify terms and services. And now we want to go and install the coding in Google Tag Manager. So on our website, you scroll a little bit lower where you've copied the code. And here you can see a zip file version 1.07, or maybe you might have a newer version. Simply click on the link and download the file. What we want to do is unzip the file. Here we go, and the file is unzipped. This is basically a template that you can import in Google Tag Manager. So when we go to Google Tag Manager, we want to go to Admin, then click on Import Container, choose your file, set the workspace to default, make sure that you choose Merge, and then click on Confirm. Now go to the tags options. Once you've imported everything, you will notice that there are new tags installed. So if you're updating from a previous version, for example 1.05 or 6, then the naming convention is slightly different because I wanted to keep consistency now that I've added micro conversions. So previously you would just see Google as Shopify pixel conversion tracking by feed.army, but now I've changed it to straight brackets purchase and, for example, straight bracket cart viewed. So the old ones I recommend you delete and just set everything up again using the new ones. So now you have these imported. We need to create conversion actions for each and every tag that we have here. So what we want to do is go to Google Ads. And we want to go to goals. Simply click on that. And we want to click on Create Conversion Action. We want to click on Websites. And simply you can do the same, example.com, or if you want to add your own URL, that is fine. But you have to be aware that if you use your own URL, that when you click on scan, it sometimes automatically pre-selects Google Analytics. So if you see here a blue button that says convert to Google Ads, make sure you click on that so that you can set everything up correctly. Otherwise, just click on example.com and then it should not show the button here. You will notice that I've done a slight split screen of two different pages so that I can see what values I need to add. I recommend that you do the same. Within Windows, you can split the screen into two tabs. So what we want to do is scroll all the way down to the bottom and click on Add a Conversion Action manually. Let's begin with the first one, which is Add Shipping Info. So we want to click on Page View. make sure that the conversion action is set to secondary. As you can see, sometimes you can select secondary, sometimes it will not. Don't worry, we can change this after we've created everything. So if you can choose secondary, do it now. If you can't, don't worry, just uncheck the box, add page views to account default goals, because we don't want to track that as a primary goal. Now, the conversion name for consistency, I would say Shopify GTM pixel space, and copy this already because we need to repeat this several times. The first one is add shipping info. And then simply click on done. Click on add a conversion action manually again, and now we want to add a cart, but this time we want to choose the sales category add to cart. We want to set this to secondary. As you can see, now we can select secondary, and then paste the naming convention and then add to cart. Now for the value, I recommend that you use one single value and just one, so that if you use it as a primary signal for your campaigns, that it doesn't overbloat your budget. This is usually due to if you're using the different values for each conversion, then it will include the values of the add to cart for the campaigns, and that will most likely not work. So you need to set it to use the same value for each conversion. Of course, you can test out however you like, but for my testing, I use just one as the value conversion, and that will not overbloat the budget. You might want to ask, like, why do we want to add to cart as a primary? Well, in certain cases, you might find that the Performance Max campaign cannot really get any traction, or that the conversions are going down every week. That is because you need to have at least 30 to 50 conversions in a Performance Max campaign for it to be able to work properly. And you can then substitute this with the add to cart conversions and add that as a primary, but without the sales values. And that will then, in most cases, increase your sales by 100%, even 300, 500%. You get more sales. So that's why you set that up. And this is then, of course, a micro conversion and not a micro conversion. Now, for this one, we also want to just click on done. And let's go to the next one. The next one is begin checkout. Here we can also pre-select the sales category. So select begin checkout. And this I would also, as you can see, I cannot select secondary, but I do want to. But don't worry, we will change that later. Now paste your name and then set it to begin checkout. And we can click on done. Do this again. Now for cart viewed, now there's no sales category, so we want to select page view. Set this to secondary. We can't. Okay. That is cart viewed. Click on done. Add another one. And this is for the payment submitted, and we can't use a category, so we choose page view. Click on done. And now we want to add the purchase. So select purchase. This is of course primary. That's correct. And just click on done. Add another one. This is for the search. Set that secondary. We can't. Okay. And set it to search. And then one more, which is a view collection. We also want to choose page view, set that secondary. Okay. And then click on done. Now we want to click on save and continue. Now we want to click on use Google Tag Manager. And now you can see your conversion ID and all the labels that we need. So let's copy the conversion ID first and go to add shipping info. So now I need to do this in 2 tab forms. So in your case, you can do split screen because that's much easier. So paste that. And then I will copy the shipping info label, make sure, because sometimes there is a hyphen in the value, so if you double click you might partially copy the code. So it's better, if you want to avoid accidentally having the wrong label, is to highlight all the text and then just copy it like this. And then we paste the conversion label here. Save that. Now we want to do add to cart. So here again we copy the conversion ID. We paste it here. Now copy the add to cart label and paste that here. We want to choose begin checkout. Again, copy the conversion ID. And now the label for begin checkout. Click on save. Now we want to do cart viewed. Conversion ID again. And now the label for cart viewed. Click on save. And now for the payment submitted, we want to copy the ID. And now copy the label for payment submitted. So this is the credit card details conversion point. So don't confuse payment submitted with the actual purchase. That might confuse some. So now we want to do purchase. So that is the conversion of a sale. Conversion ID copied, paste it here. And now we want to copy the label. Save. And now we want to do search. Again, copy the ID. And copy the label. And finally, view collection. Copy the ID. And the label. And click on save. And now we want to submit the update. And you can say Google Ads tracking. And click on publish. Now that Google Tag Manager has been set up, we want to verify that all the goals are set up correctly. So for the purchase, we want to set it to primary. That is correct. What we want to then check is that everything else is set to secondary unless you explicitly want to enable, for example, add to cart as a primary. So for example, let's assume you don't want that. We want to set the edit goal and change that to secondary. And then click on save. We want to do the same for the begin checkout. Set the goal to secondary. Then go to the bottom for page view, and all of these also need to be set at secondary unless you specifically want it to measure as a primary. But my recommendation, set it to secondary. Okay, now we need to enable enhanced conversions. So there are two options. Sometimes it is on the settings of the conversion action, and sometimes you need to go to the account settings. I will show you both. So let's click on our pixel for the purchase. So enhanced conversions is only available for the purchase. We want to click on this and then click on turn on enhanced conversions. We want to choose Google Tag or Google Tag Manager. Click on next. Now we want to just make an invalid URL because we want to force a selection option. If you add your own URL, it will not work as predicted, and then you cannot select what you need to. So just click on check URL. It will say, oops, no tag detected. That is absolutely fine. And we want to click on select one manually. Now we want to click on Google Tag Manager, click on next and save. Now, if you cannot set this up because it will say, for example, it is already turned on and you cannot change anything, that means it is in the settings. So underneath conversions, click on settings and then enhance conversions for leads. Now for me it says not enabled. That is because I've done it on the conversion action level, but let's assume you have already enabled this. So we click on this and the tag option needs to be Google Tag Manager, and then just click on save. And that's it. All of that is done. So now you've successfully installed Google Ads conversion tracking for enhanced conversions and also for micro conversions, and has lots of extra features. So in the Google Tag Manager, I will show you. So if we go back to Google Tag Manager and we click on tags, we can click on the purchase, and here we can see all the extra features. So what is included is the user data provided from the website. This is actually the enhanced conversion data. And then if we scroll a little bit lower, we can see the shipping data is also added. And those are the two extra features that are in the Google Tag Manager code. And that's pretty much it. So everything is installed. As indicated, this code is for free. And if you like for me to continue to be able to improve all the coding and add extra features, feel free to, for example, leave a review or a comment. And that will help me out a lot because there is a lot of work that goes into developing all of these codes for free, of course. So for the coding itself, you will notice that it will take a while for the conversions to take place. In most cases, it will be 1 or 2 days. And for the enhanced conversions, when you hover over the status, it will take maybe 7 days for enhanced conversions to show. So if we hover over this one, you can see enhanced conversions is active, and that will happen depending on how much data is submitted to Google Ads. So if you have only a few conversions and there's not enough data, it may take Google a little bit longer. So if you have any issues after 2 days, feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to help. Or if you need any customizations, I can assist you with that as well. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it has been helpful, and see you in the next one.